What's up, everybody? Super Saiyan Sanchi of All Gas, No Break Podcast. I'm here today to help you guys start your podcast. Bring your podcast from dream to reality. And that's what I'm about to do. So this is what you're about to tune into. Once again, I'm your host, Super Saiyan Sanchi of the All Gas, No Break Podcast. I've been doing this about 7-8 years. My podcast, All Gas, No Break Podcast, is about, I have over 350 episodes on top of that. Podcast is about interviewing entrepreneurs, content creators, and businesses in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. That is what I'm into and what we're into. And also a little bit of content creation because we interview content creators. So just so we won't talk about it, we also are about it. We be about it. And that's what we do, All Gas, No Break Podcast. So today we're diving into everything you need to know on how to start your own podcast. Whether you're looking to share your passion, build your brand, or just have some fun, my goal is to walk you through the essential steps to ensure your podcast not only launches, but thrives. Topic 1. The first thing you got to do is choose a podcast topic. Let's start with the foundation. Choosing that podcast topic. Your topic should be something you're passionate about, something you can talk about for hours, but it's also important to think about what will engage your audience. You got to ask yourself, what do I love talking about? What do I love to talk to others about? What would others like to listen to? Or what do I like to listen to? Your topic should reflect both your interests and your audience needs. Once you have a topic in mind, the next step is understanding who your listeners are. So for myself, our topic on All Gas, No Break Podcast is entrepreneurship, content creation, and businesses. I have a passion for that. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I've worked in corporate America and did the struggle game, but I have a passion for entrepreneurship. I failed at many businesses. However, one business that's been thriving is this podcasting game. I'm able to network with some major players. I'm able to bring in some major players onto our format. So I feel like this is where I am skilled at. Identify what you like to talk about. What is it you like to talk about? You like to talk about money? Finances. You like to talk about cars? Talk about cars. But don't be afraid to start. Figure out what it is you want to talk about and go talk about it. Start your podcast today. Reach out to me. As long as you don't call me Mother F and anger, I'm cool with you. But hit me up at agnbpodcast Marketing on Instagram. At agnbpodcast Marketing on Instagram. Also, we have a website, allgasnobreakpodcast.com. Spelled ALLGASNOBREAKPODCAST.com. I own that. Allgasnobreakpodcast.com. Reach out to me there as well. The second topic, knowing your audience. Knowing your audience is key to creating content that resonates. Research your potential listeners. Who are they? What are their interests, struggles, aspirations? This will guide you in creating content that speaks directly to them. Join online communities. Read through forums, or maybe even conduct surveys, which I've never done. However, I don't see why not. And I somewhat do. I guess I do, because on my social media pages, I ask questions of what they like, what they do not like, and that helps. So I'll keep it 100 with you guys. My target audience is content creators, businesses, and entrepreneurs in the Washington, D.C. metro area. I kept it small. I kept it for me, because it's in my local market. I love the topic of business. I love the topic of entrepreneurship. And I want businesses to also be a part of it. And I utilize this topic to go after my target audience, because people that are business savvy, that are trying to make a way for themselves outside of just the corporate hustle, have a different mentality. So my show and our topic is always about other entrepreneurs, other content creators, and their ups and downs and their struggles and how they get out of it and what motivates them. And I use that topic to target our audience. So the better you know your audience, the better you can serve them. And that's real. So now that you know your topic and audience, let's talk about how you deliver your content. Next topic, choose your podcast format. Podcasts come in all shapes and sizes. You can go solo, you can interview guests, you can host panel discussions, or even tell stories. There's a podcast for everything. I was just at Podcast Movie 2024 in Washington, D.C., my most recent one. The other thing we want to talk about is that type of stuff, going to conferences and networking. But that's later on in all of these series, in this series here. I met a young lady that podcasts about makeup. Solo. Talking about what makeup she uses. I met true crime podcasters, people that identify crimes that have occurred or deaths or murders, and they just dive deep in them. I even learned that some of these people helped solve with the podcast murders, cold cases. Literally, I'm going to have a guy on my show talk about that as well in a few podcast episodes. The format you choose should align with your strengths and the preferences of your audience. If you're a strong speaker, a solo interview format might work well for you. If you enjoy collaborative discussions, a panel format might be your style. Experiment with different formats to find out what's best. Once you've chosen that format, it's time to give your podcast an identity. So now, name your podcast. Your podcast name, it's first impression. So it can be catchy, memorable, and relevant. It should give potential listeners an idea of what your podcast is about while it's standing out in front of the crowd. Make sure to keep it simple. Make sure to keep it easy to spell and pronounce. And check if the name is available across social media platforms and as a domain name. All Gas, No Breaks podcast. That's all ours. I got the full wet, all gas, no breaks. And the breaks is spelled BREAKS. We take no breaks. Have that. Also, the acronym. Make it simple. And also, I always hear a lot of people say, make sure that it's something that could go across a t-shirt and you might be able to flip it. You might be able to sell that. With the name locked in, we're going to move on to crafting a description that sells your show. Your podcast description is your elevator pitch. In just a few sentences, it should capture what your podcast is about and why listeners should tune in. Highlight the value your podcast offers, whether it's insights, entertainment, or education. Include relevant keywords to help with searchability, but keep it authentic. Let your personality shine through. My description, All Gas, No Break podcast, whenever I meet anyone, my quick elevator pitch, All Gas, No Break podcast is a podcast that interviews entrepreneurs, content creators, and businesses in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Once I say that, they'll either ask a question. Do you ever interview people outside of DC, Maryland? A great thing that you do ask. I got them pulled in. I got them asking questions about it. Come up with a quick pitch that you don't mind saying over and over again. That's my one. So now that you have the basics, let's bring your podcast to life with some visuals and sound. So cover art and theme music are crucial for making a strong first impression. Your cover art should be visually appealing and reflect the theme of your podcast. Keep it simple, but striking. Think of it as your podcast logo. For theme music, choose something that sets the tone for your show. Whether it's upbeat, dramatic, or chill, your music should create the right mood and be consistent with your content. I was fortunate enough to have our logo created by a graphic designer, and not everyone has that opportunity to do so. Here's our logo right there. Very simple, right to the point. All Gas, No Break podcast. It helps. People want to know what it's about. Also, the name is very appealing. What are you all Gas, No Breaks about? But if you can't find a graphic designer, with all this AI out here today, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Copilot, and all those platforms have sisters and brother-sister platforms where they create art. Use your prompt. Once you start going into AI, you'll understand what I'm saying. Go prompt it to create something for you. And as far as music is concerned, with all these producers out here, you'll be able to find something. There's something free out there to use. There's someone you know, maybe a nephew or niece, they might be able to create something for you that's a producer, or they're working on music, or you might be able to create something quickly for yourself. But either way, don't make that be the reason why you don't put your podcast out. Create your podcast today. Don't let no one tell you got to have all the bells and whistles to make it happen. To wrap up what we've covered, the essential steps to start your podcast: choosing a topic, researching your audience, selecting a format, naming your podcast, crafting a compelling description, and creating cover art and theme music. Each of these steps is crucial for creating a podcast that not only launches successfully, but also attracts and retains listeners. If you found this episode helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment below with your podcast ideas. I love to hear what you're working on, and if you're ready to take the next steps, also reach out to me. I'm a consultant in this game. Super Saiyan Santi. Santiago is the name. Santiago.consultant@gmail.com. That'll be in there. Or hit me on Instagram, agnb marketing, or agnbpodcast@gmail.com, or at my website, allgasnobreakpodcast.com. And I'll be happy to assist you on your podcast journey. Thank you for joining me on All Gas No Break Podcast. I'm Super Saiyan Santiago, and I'm excited to see what you create. Until next time, keep dreaming big and keep podcasting. All Gas No Breaks.
Well, all right.
Say sweet talk. What do you know about that all gas, no brakes?
Man, I heard about that all gas, no brakes. I don't think they gonna let me on. I ain't got a damn thing to talk about.
Food, they talk about everything. This is all gas, no brakes. Don't step on the brakes.